Welcome to Audiation in the Wild with your hosts, Beau Taillefer and Eric Rasmussen. Season 4, Episode 1, a preview of Season 4. Well, hello, Beau.
Hey, Eric. We're back.
We're back. I haven't talked to you on air for a while, but we've been talking. We've got ideas, and we want to share those ideas with the audience and tell the audience thank you for being patient. We took a break, and after a while, we decided it was an intentional break because we want to practice what we preach a little bit.
Yeah, I think taking a break is good. I feel like we'll come back pretty fresh. We got lots of ideas for upcoming episodes. If I'm not mistaken, we'll have an interview released right after this episode.
Yes, a very special episode. I had so much fun talking to Dr. Molly again. Oh my goodness. So if you don't know the neuroscience of practicing, we did something February of 2023, and we invited her back on because she's got a book. But you'll hear about that in the next episode. But man, that was just a really fun 2 hours. So, not your typical get it done in a walk.
Yeah. I like those longer form interviews.
You do. You like length. But if you take a break away from something, when you come back, your mind has had a chance to process and put things in a perspective, contextualize, the last 90 plus episodes that we've done. We've recorded more, but I haven't published all of them. So when I took a break, I stopped publishing anything. And, really had a good summer. And I'm really excited, I'm really excited for the fall. I usually am anxious at this point in the year.
Okay.
And I have too many things I want to start, too many logs to put in the fire, too many pieces of coal. I think that direct instruction will be one of my pieces of coal to put in the fire.
Well, yeah, let's go on this thread for a sec, because I would like to chat for a bit about some of the ideas we have for the podcast. I think
that's the point, but I just derailed it.
No, that's fine. But also, I would imagine a lot of people that listen to this podcast are music teachers, and we're recording this on September 2nd, the Monday off for
It's
Canada.
Labor Day
Labor Day
for the Americans.
Yeah, well, Canada too.
Us Americans.
And yeah, I mean, you're kind of getting at what I wanted to bring up is, what's on your mind this year? You've mentioned before trying to incorporate more of these DI principles in your classroom, but yeah, maybe continue with that and expand on it. What else is on your mind this year? What are you looking forward to in your own teaching?
Well, I found an easier way to do more complicated changes for the kids. And I won't want to break that down, but late spring, early summer, I started finding another route for comparing. So this is the thing, the A-B of Engelmann is, if I just stay there, I'm good. Here's A, here's A, here's A. What's this? It's not A. And then eventually you call it B, or whatever its name is, and you start to recognize things, but to do them in longer form or in phrases is not as hard as you think it would be for 4 and 5 year olds or 6-year-olds. So you just have to present it really well. And that's, I think, my issue is honing down my presentation of some of these things. And there's times where they don't get it. And then there's times it's the same class and they just go, bam, oh, I got it. And part of that is repetition, and part of that is for how long I do it, but part of it is for exactly how I script it, or how do I say it in the way that really lands over there, and I get the result immediately that I want. If I don't get it immediately, from most of the kids, then I know I'm off.
Yeah,
it can't just be the 5 kids that always get it. So
I think that's on the money.
So that's hard to do, though.
It is, and I feel like the script should be done in a way where I could take your plan to present, say, some new harmonic function in a new way, and I should be able to say the words you say and demonstrate, the pattern that you're demonstrating or whatever comparison, and I should be getting the same result as you, right?
Yeah.
If I'm using, and that is the power of actually, at first, creating somewhat of a script for yourself, just so you have a plan for how you're going to present things. Because it's so easy to get swept up. Teaching can be very performance-like, in the sense you're on the stage and you can kind of blow your phrasing if you don't have something to fall back on.
Yeah, I'm a jazzer, and I've got the DI vocabulary down in a structural way, like at least at this level. I haven't had to do things that are beyond chapter 4.
In theory of instruction?
And theory of instruction, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to go far beyond that. In fact, I haven't dug into the other chapters because I'm not overwhelmed. I just have enough to chew on. Mm-hmm. I never went further because for my age kids, I don't get into some of the other, some of the deeper DI stuff. Maybe I need to go back and reframe myself again now because I haven't touched it over the summer.
Well, I mean, I can
in terms of reading theory of instruction.
Sure, yeah, and I can vouch for you in the sense that you can keep going through, and your curriculum already is taking into account a lot of the principles. I've mentioned this before. Eric's curriculum is super DI friendly.
But I didn't know. But now I know.
Yeah.
I think it brings some hesitancy now that I know it. Before it was kind of natural. I think about it rather than just kind of let it flow.
Well, one thing I will say really quickly, I've had many people, listeners, email in asking questions about theory of instruction. There is a section near the end of the book called Adding Coordinate Members to a Set. Everyone should read that. Your curriculum completely follows the advice for that. How do you introduce more functions, more tonal patterns, more content, more tonalities? You pace it slowly is the name of the game.
Right, and it requires me to be more diligent about having the floor down before I add any furniture.
Yeah, same. So that sounds like it's a, conscious goal on your part to try to weave more of that into your teaching this year, because you were pretty into it last year.
Be more diligent about when and how, and lay the program out better. Even if I don't stick to the calendar, that I stick to the number of repetitions or the amount of time or anytime there's a mistake, how do I go back and clean up the instruction? It takes a lot of extra time if I screw up once or twice. It's amazing because the kids get confused and they're learning so quickly at this age. So anyway, so there's that. There's my own practice, given Molly's book. There's the support I'm starting to feel at Peabody. Mm-hmm. There's a new plan to incorporate more of my department and other departments, and have other departments encourage their kids to take classes with me in addition to or before they take lessons, which would be huge if we actually do it. But there's going to be a lot of reticence. Yeah. And there's going to be issues with that, but we're going to start moving a little bit in that direction. So says the plan. I've got 2 really good new teachers this year. One started this summer and one just joined, and she's phenomenal. really good musicians. Now I just got to get them up to snuff. They understand kids. They're good musicians. That's all I need. I don't need you to know one lick of anything. Just come watch and let me tell you what to do, and you'll learn on the job real quick, like I did.
Mm-hmm.
But they're better musicians, so it'll be quicker.
Cool.
So yeah, I got a lot going on. Plus, there's my band. If you remember, we did an episode. I've got a new band. Eric's in a new band. Well, this band ran into a trio of women that are gospel trained, and boy, do they sound good together.
Sure.
I mean, it's like Temptations, but trio. And oh my God, do they wail. And they know how to support each other. Everyone takes the solo, and they're just as good a lead as the next one. Mm. And so I'm in an all-black band except for me, and it's just fun. My new nickname is Sprinkles.
There you go.
They said I like it. He just sprinkled. I like how the trumpet sprinkles over us on that part.
Okay.
I'm like, that sounds like a nickname. Who sprinkles? Anyway, so that's 2 rehearsals a week right now in the evening, and we've got a couple paid gigs coming up. So my plate is full, and I want to adopt a new kitty.
There you go.
Because it's been a year anniversary since I lost my one cat, and I'm still so sad about it. But I think the only remedy for a lost cat is a new cat.
Yeah.
I still have Bernice, and she's hilarious. But anyway, that's kind of my life in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds. What's on your mind in terms of your own practicing? Or is there anything you're trying to work into your own?
My buddy up in Massachusetts, who's the only guy who's conquered my literature on an instrument. He did pretty well. He sent me home with an inch or more of charts and a playlist of all this Latin music.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm really challenged, like where one is.
Okay.
When the horn's on my face.
Yeah.
I can sight read that stuff really pretty well. Mm-hmm. If I'm counting in my head and moving my body and like that. But for some reason, I'm always on and instead of one. And the stuff moves faster than you think it does. And it's not about tempo. It's a feel and a style and, the different Latin beats. I don't feel it yet. It's just so funny. I can do one. I can move my body and get going like that. And I can do the other read without the music now to put the two together. It's like when you heard that became 1 and 3 instead of
yeah.
Right? So long time ago, jazz was like 1 and 3, not 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. Because it was the loudest. It was the loudest beat. 1 wasn't loud. 2 and 4 were louder. So my body went instead of.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Barry Harris talks about that. He definitely. There's a video of him talking about. He was like, I don't know where all this 2 and 4 came from. It's 1 and 3, and because he's OG, right?
Yeah.
And I actually find it way more difficult. Like if I just put a click on and improvise over it as 2 and 4, I find that easier to sink into than 1 and 3. It's just because I spent more time training on 2 and 4.
Oh yeah, and my training was all hot cross buns and marches and
yeah
and dead white people music and not all, but a lot of. We did jazz in the jazz band, but we were still counting 1, 2, 3, 4. We didn't do 2/4 jazz, really.
Yeah.
Not as much as we needed to. We did, like In the Mood
I found the 2/4 stuff easier to learn at higher tempos, like comparably higher, right? Like in bebop, like I found it very easy to lock into that, and then you slow it down later.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's interesting stuff.
So what about you? I've said a lot. What's your mindset going in? There's a good word.
My mindset.
Speaking of mindset's so critical.
Yeah, it's interesting how many mindset interventions there are out there. Like the growth fixed mindset intervention is a really classic example where you can literally just bring people in a room and coach them for 5 minutes on what the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset is, and then get them to do a task, and it has a big impact on how much effort they put in and how they even perceive challenges and all that. So that's a good one to review from time to time. But yeah, my goals for the upcoming school year, I got a decent roster of students right now, good mix of piano, guitar, and a couple drum students. Just something I'd like to talk about more on the podcast. Maybe we'll have an episode or two about that. Because
stuff that's really relevant to your practical world and your money-making world versus the theory, but we're going to do both, obviously.
Honestly, it's a great idea to teach them drums if you can. I'm a big fan of beginning students learning a couple instruments. I think it's a great idea. Interest-wise, it also makes them a little more well-rounded, and MLT is absurdly effective on drums. It's fantastic. You'll often see piano students who are just it's not their bag, right? And you put them on a drum kit, and then they get back into it, you know. And it's great. And because I could care less if someone becomes a piano player, or a drummer, or a guitar player. I'm more interested in just getting them audiating or enjoying themselves. Yeah, so I got that going on. I'm finishing up. I have a Royal Conservatory exam coming up for classical guitar, and I got the pieces into pretty good shape here. So the next month or so is practice performances, and then taking that, and then getting ready for the kind of next phase of projects. And
you've been really incorporating Dr. Molly Gebrian's work into your practice. You've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, her work, and there's a few other deep practice thinkers that we're hoping to have, or at least invite on the podcast and see if they come on. But yeah, there's a few authors that for me have just made such a big deal in the past 5 or 6 years in terms of how I practice. And Eric said something really interesting off air that I agree with, that it's one thing to practice a lot, you're practicing a couple hours every day or whatever and pushing your skills, but it takes on a different quality when you actually start becoming a bit of a researcher about practice methods. And so you're not only learning the music and pushing your own audiation and skills, you're now getting into the weeds of which practice techniques even work, and experimenting with them and studying practice itself. It's a whole nother, level of engagement, I find.
Yeah, you're learning how to learn, and
Very
you're picking your problem before you start to learn. Don't wait till you have a problem. Go at the problem from the very beginning. You've got your purpose laid out for you. Now choose the right way to tackle that problem.
Very, very much so. So my goal right now is to finish up with this classical guitar degree, and then I'm going to launch off into, I don't know what yet, but some kind of jazz project, because I'm not improvising very much. I'm improvising a lot. I probably a third of my practice is improv, but it's not actually geared towards a project. So that's the next kind of project I'd like to get into, and I would like to share some of that here and there on the podcast, because I mentioned this before, but I think it's useful to see what can be done with MLT kind of on the extreme end of harmonic audiation. And I have good harmonic aptitude, but I'm not and it's a good thing to see.
Yes.
Someone going through,
yes.
What does it look like when someone's trying to audiate very kind of foreign material? Like, I don't even have examples in the wild for some of this stuff that I can actually listen to. I have to make the examples myself and listen to them myself.
Yeah.
And it's cool,
Bandcamp, John Swana stuff. So we had John Swana fabulous trumpet player.
Yeah.
Fabulous. He plays a lot of EWI, electronic trumpet. And he plays trombone as well, too. But, some of those exercises, that stuff is insane. But can I put us on the spot? Write a 16-bar melody and give it to me. And then write a 16-bar, bass line or root melody, not just root melody, but bass line, and give it to me. And I'll do the same. And you do a melody to my roots, and I'll do a melody to your roots, and then you do roots to my melody.
I'm super down.
It's like 16 bars, not a lot, but it depends how hard you want to. It can be hard if you're not audioing harmonically, but I think you got enough chops. I think you got more harmonic chops than I do.
Or just
playing
different
jazz.
content. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah, you're a much better jazz musician, and that way I guess a lot and get things right. Or make it so it does sound right. I get out of trouble easily, I think. Depends who's teaching me. I don't have a teacher doing that. So anyway, let's put ourselves on the spot for that. And in a month or so, let's unveil.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd very much... I'm hoping to post some more stuff on YouTube. I haven't really posted much in terms of lessons or teaching videos and stuff like that, but I would like to post, with maybe some of these adventurous tonal patterns or harmonic learning. I would like to just post the patterns that I use online if someone else wants to use them too, and just see what happens with
Hey, licks. Post your licks, your lick vocabularies.
Yeah.
Because you come up with those really easily. You just play them and write them down how you play them, and then just do them in 12 keys, or do them, in the context of a phrase, where to put these licks. Because those are valuable just as much as tonal patterns are. Once you're beyond the harmonic understanding, you want to get your fingers and mind to automatically be able to have something, and those licks don't stay the same way every time you play them. You ghost a note differently, or you play the half of it, you play the front half of another, just because it's where your audiation takes you. And you got to have the vocabulary, melodic vocabulary, not just tonal and harmonic vocabulary. This is where licks are important. You need to have melodic vocabulary, and lick learning is part of that. The same way we learn songs, tunes. There's nothing wrong with learning tunes, right? Well, licks are just little bits of tunes. So what's wrong with a lick? Just because
I literally can't agree more. It's so important, it's wildly important.
It's better than scales. Let's put it that way. And scales are just as important if you're playing this Baroque literature or these, classical sonatas, right? That you need you need to be practicing the scales that are in that piece, right? So that your fingers do it. But not scales for the sake of scales, but scales to support the learning of a composition that you're playing.
Well, I want to have an episode about melodic shapes, because this is also something I feel like has been discussed. But a scale to me is a melodic shape. It's that either ascends or descends. But there's so many other melodic shapes, and I think Bach is such a great example of a composer who was clearly just trying every conceivable melodic shape. I mean, he was working within a certain harmonic idiom, so he wasn't getting totally out there. But yeah, these melodic shapes are extremely powerful, and when you have the harmonic chops that can be glued into them, you can play one melodic shape. You get like literally the same tones and audiate it over different harmonies.
Yeah.
And lick learning is, I feel.
Yeah, we got it.
I feel like is kind of hated on a little bit. Even in the non-Gordon community, I mean, there's lots of jazz teachers who are somehow against lick learning. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, anyway, let's not beat on anybody. Let's just present the positive. You said about Bach isn't too far out there. Well, I cleaned my basement up in a major way. I mopped the whole floor. And I used the B minor mass. Listen, I got my basement cleaned in the time that it took to listen to the B minor mass.
Nice.
And he was pretty far out for his day, man.
Oh no, obviously.
Even for like later.
I just mean like you go from playing some Bach and then you play like Leo Brouwer right after, and you're like, okay, there's something different is happening here.
Ludoslavsky, get yourself some Ludoslavsky. Did he write for guitar? I wonder.
I don't even know. It's probably like
I love me some Ludoslavsky. I don't know why. I don't understand any of it.
That's fun. But I mean, and then in terms of the podcast specifically, we have a mashup of interviews, and I'm really excited to talk to people in MLT and out of MLT. I think it's a really fun combination for me, anyways.
We're going to try to do more interviews than you and I spouting off about certain things, but there's still, education, psychology, composition, just strong musicians that it's fun to hear when they don't know about music learning, neuroscience, people that are close to Gordon but never took classes with him, early childhood, people who are very critical of North American educational practices, professors in Counterpoint. Got a bunch of possibilities that we're going to schedule interviews for, but we're also going to make sure that everything we're learning gives you some new distinction to help you work with children or students so that they learn to audiate better, and ways to do that. So technique and method. Ron Malanga, if you're listening, you're going to be on here more than you want to be, because we're going to bother you. We want to have Ron join us more often.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So surprise, surprise. I'm going to post this right soon. Ron has a space audiation lecture that he's going to do for 3 hours on a Sunday, coming up really soon. So it's coming up next month.
I'm excited for that. I mean, I feel like that topic is
I have no
wildly
idea.
difficult for people to articulate. I've never heard someone speak about that in any intelligible way. And I think Ron, as far as I know him and the way he speaks and the way he thinks, he's very precise and clear. And so I'm excited to hear his thoughts on that.
He's most well read about these brain processes.
Yeah.
He's the in a Gestalt way, he's putting those things together and combining that, of course, with Gordon's book. I couldn't get a drop of milk out of that udder. There's probably more there, but I just can't get my mind around it. So I need some help. I need a leg up there. But that'll be good. I didn't do a harmonic learning sequence course in August, and I told a few people that I would. So that's going to come up for this fall, and
cool.
We'll schedule that. There's new stuff, and I really needed time to prepare it, and then also time away from it. Because when I prepare something new, I get into it, and then you got to stop and then go back to it, just like the podcast. Seems to be
definitely. No, I think that'd be great for people to check out. I have we'll announce this a little further down the road, but I have a very interesting project that I'm starting with Molly Gabrian. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for her to reveal the details about it. But as much as I can say right now, it'll be an interesting project about practice. I think will be beneficial for people to check out.
Yeah, you're taking her book and actually doing an objective work with that with that mindset of
so that'll
neuroscience and practice. So that project is going to be really, really interesting to follow.
Yeah, in the next month or two, we'll release some more details about that.
And people begged for more ear training. So we could probably don't need a full, maybe we can include little spot sessions at the end or here and there, small episodes on ear training and helping people audiate tonalities or meters or...
Yeah, that's something I'd love to hear from the listeners. As someone who listens to this podcast, would you rather have, like, we have our normal episodes, interviews, Eric and I just beating something to death, and then would you rather see small episodes that are separate, that have some kind of LSA, like harmonic learning sequence, like rhythm learning, like something like that, or would you rather just have that threaded into regular episodes in the beginning? I could see. I'm not sure what would be more useful for people.
Yeah. And more customer feedback is a goal. I don't know how to do that other than to beg anymore. No, I beg of you, call us. Go to teachmusic2kids.com, all spelled out, teachmusic2kids.com. Mm. And if you go there, you'll find a button. And that button will take you to a recording. You just press it and record your voice, and we can play your question on the air.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love
and
to
you could
hear
even
about...
sing. See, you could have a problem that a question that you couldn't tape could be a question about this or that. But
sure.
But yeah, please, give us some feedback on what we're doing here, and we want to address your needs.
Cool. Well,
we're addressing our needs because we can't.
Should be a fun year.
We can't go without talking to each other. So this is one way to do it and post it. So so I'm really looking forward to it. We gave a good synopsis of the last 90 plus episodes, and now we have a little future ahead of us to fill in. And now what?
I hope everyone enjoys I believe the first episode for the season will be the second interview with Molly Gabrian, and that should be fun.
It's wow. It's wow. There's certainly new information in there.
Yeah, I know. With that interview, I re-listened to the first one right before, and I did my best to not cover the same topics, just so that now there's like 3 total hours of different content.
3.5.
Yeah, so hopefully that's useful. I mean, her work is fantastic. Yeah.
It's the most excited I've been since getting into, and there was a longer learning curve for me and direct instruction, but I got excited after learning more about it. And this is, I've ramped up to 10. I'm so excited. I'm emailing every person I know who takes practicing seriously and letting them know about this book.
Yeah, I mean, her book it would be cruel for it to not be in every university bookstore that has a music department.
Cruel.
The difference in what could happen to someone who has that book versus doesn't, who's studying music full time, it's pretty absurd to think about.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. It's landmark stuff. When put in its entirety, she's put a lot of things together.
Yeah, I mean, she's been thinking and talking about these topics for 20 years, and her book really has we talk about this in the episode, but it has this razor sharp clarity of someone who has really thought this through from first principles, read the research, and actually has applied it. It's not like she read about this stuff like a month ago and wrote a book. It's like she's been applying this stuff forever too, and it really just shines through how it's so practical. That's the coolest part.
Yeah. She got objective validity is what I call it. Objective validity.
There you go. All right, team. We look forward to this year. My iPad's at 1%, so we should land this plane.
Crash and burn. All right. Good to talk to you. Welcome back, everybody, or welcome us back, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, till next time.